we started off in the sneaker bot space. So understanding, who's buying your product, how do you prioritize your best consumers? But what we ended up seeing is that everyone has multiple identities online. So being able to understand who are my true consumers versus like not all accounts are unique customers. So how does that impact our data when we're forecasting inventory, sales, marketing campaigns, etc.? So we help brands understand their consumers' intentionality. Are they resellers? Are they customers? And the best way to interact with their consumers.
All right, this is another episode of the Founders Pack Form Your Own Pack podcast. My guest today is Jordan Shamir from Yofi. Jordan, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to be on, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to present or be on.
No problem. Well, so I guess for people that don't know, first off, we met. I think I saw you initially on a Stonks pitch. Is that correct? And I think it was for the My First Million demo day.
Exactly. Yep.
Cool. And then you went to University of Michigan, I believe. Is that?
Yeah, we were able to do a really cool thing where My First Million actually came to University of Michigan and did their first kind of like college tour, college pitch. And we were lucky to be one of the 5 startups to present in it. So it was an awesome opportunity and super fun.
That is amazing. All right. So for people that don't know, I guess first off, who is Jordan Shamir? And then what is Yofi?
Yeah, Jordan Shamir is a free agent, MBA free agent. Jordan Shamir, I'm one of the co-founders of Yofi AI. So we are a platform that helps people understand digital identity. So we started off in the sneaker bot space. So understanding, who's buying your product, how do you prioritize your best consumers? But what we ended up seeing is that everyone has multiple identities online. So being able to understand who are my true consumers versus like not all accounts are unique customers. So how does that impact our data when we're forecasting inventory, sales, marketing campaigns, etc.? So we help brands understand their consumers' intentionality. Are they resellers? Are they customers? And the best way to interact with their consumers, which is awesome. And then me, from a Jordan perspective, any sports I love to play and watch. I'm an avid Manchester United and Texas football fan. And I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Montana. So anything outside is always a good time.
So fun fact, Manchester United's second most tenured player was a guy by the name of Tony Dunn, and that is my cousin, or at least he was. Unfortunately, he passed away about a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but he played for 12 years for Manchester United.
That's incredible. That's an awesome fun fact. That's amazing.
And he kind of revolutionized the back position because he was usually those are big guys, and he was a little guy that was really fast and really smart. And he played for Ireland for 33 times.
That's amazing. I think we could still use a couple people in the back. So we're always looking for a better defense. So
not quite Man City, right?
Yeah, right now, unfortunately, we're not.
So when we talk about identity and you mentioned the sneaker problem, and then you referred to consumers versus resellers. So one of the issues I think you talked about had to do with, for example, discount codes. So how does this address that? And what is that?
Yeah, like one of the big things that we see is that, a lot of people have different accounts, right? Like I have 4 or 5 different email addresses just from work, right? And so one of the things that we're seeing is this notion of like omni-channel, right? If you go on Amazon and you try to buy a product, you're not necessarily buying from the brand, right? You're just buying from whoever's, FBA, right? Amazon fulfilled business, and being able to buy the product. So one of the things from a discount code perspective is that people are using different email addresses to redeem massive discounts, right? Okay, first time buyer, I get 20% off. All right, well, I'm Jordan. I'm just going to go redeem with a new discount, get that 20% off, buy the product. And that on its own is not a huge deal, right? Hey, if Jordan wants 20% off, that's fine. But where it starts getting tricky is from a data perspective, right? If everyone's doing that 2 or 3 times to get the additional discounts, how many of my actual customers do I know? Is it skewing my perspective, right? Am I charging my products too much, right? Like, and getting more into that level of granularity. But I think more deeper is like, if you think about like free bots, I don't know if you heard about them during like the Christmas period of like, if things are free, people are just buying them from Target, Walmart, whatever. And it's kind of getting to this point of like, are people using these discounts to create these arbitrage opportunities of saying, okay, if it's $10, I buy at $8, I'll sell at $9.50. Whatever I don't sell, I'm just going to return back to the brand. So it gets really costly, and it's actually a full business, right? Like you look at like flippers or resellers on Amazon, like people are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year doing this.
Wow, that is crazy. Okay. So I shouldn't go do that business, you're saying, because
It's a great side hustle. I'll be honest. It's not a bad one. And that's honestly part of our origin stories. We started doing this a couple of years ago, just like during COVID, just for making extra bucks, and thought it was just super cool and interesting. So
yeah, very interesting problem. And I think one of the hottest areas is e-commerce and direct to consumer. So this is probably a problem that hits a lot of startups, and the cost of acquisition kills them, right? Like, so this is hopefully one thing to help address it.
yeah. And like one of the tough things for direct to consumer is that, like, if you think about all the things that happened over the past 2 to 3 years, right? Like iOS 14 has changed dramatically how you can retarget people. Cookies are going away next year. So it all needs to be first party data, right? So how can I get these understanding of my consumers to be able to make D2C profitable, right? Like one of the brands we're working with is actually going through an issue, and we've helped them solve it. Is basically they're getting resellers buying from CVS, right? And those were using like big CVS discount and coupon codes because, CVS makes so much money. They don't care about one individual brand. It was undercutting their buy box price on Amazon. And what that was doing is it was stealing thousands of dollars a year directly from their business buying on Amazon. But the bigger issue, what that caused, is that it caused other distributors to go say, hey, why is the price cheaper on Amazon versus, whatever, Target, Walmart, whatever the case might be, because everyone wants the cheapest price. Doesn't matter that they were an unauthorized distributor or a reseller. Target, Walmart, whoever saw what they saw and wanted a cheaper price. So they had to actually lower their price.
Oh, that's interesting. Like favorite nation type agreements where it's like, well, they can't be lower than us.
Exactly.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't even think of that one. That's a big deal, because those are usually like multinational companies that are getting those agreements, right?
Yeah. And these are smaller brands, right? Like you're talking about brands, some of them are doing like $5-10 million a year. So, wow. Amazon, Target, like these are big bulk buyers, and this helps them go from that like growth of, $10 million to $25 million. You need these distributors and partners, but if they can keep arbitraging you, it's going to be really expensive. Like a great example is like, Spangler or Dum Dum lollipops, like the lollipops that wouldn't go to the doctor.
Yep.
Bloomberg did an awesome article with them where like these Amazon resellers and arbitragers are costing them millions of dollars a year.
Wow,
and it's
really?
Like Dum Dum lollipops, like they're going to buy it at Costco, resell online, use the margin.
That's crazy. Okay, that's really interesting. All right, so where are you guys at in the venture? Are you currently raising? Have you raised? And what's next for you?
Yeah, so we closed our pre-seed round in March, which is good timing. And so what we've been able to do is really start building out the platform. So right now we have about 35 customers and growing. And so the nice thing that we're looking for from at least a future venture perspective is looking at the seed round. We're starting to get a lot of repeatability in a specific use case, but we have 3 or 4 additional use cases that our clients are pushing us into that direction. So definitely looking at a seed to, one, dominate our specific use case, which is around like bots on, especially Shopify and Amazon resellers, but also growing in different ways, from an interaction perspective. So looking to raise ideally a seed round in the next couple of weeks, starting to formally kick that off.
Oh, terrific. Okay, great. I think we invited you to our Winner Takes All pitch event. I don't know if you're going to be in any of those coming up, but if you aren't, well, then we should definitely try to include you in that. I know you've already been on Stonk, so you've been through that experience.
Yeah.
If that's a fit, that'd be wonderful. We'd love to have you. Okay, if you could offer other founders only one piece of advice, what would that be?
It's a good question. I think one of the things that's the hardest thing about startups is, as it's being vulnerable, right? Like it's tough to put something out there, especially like for me, I come from a product background. So I very much come from a perfectionist. Everything needs to be ready. I mean, I think it's all about speed. Build it publicly and ship as much as you can, as quickly as you can. Like things can always be improved, but things are never as bad as you think they are, right? And that was like one of the things that held us back initially, I would say, is that I was afraid a little bit. Like I wanted it to be a little bit better. I wanted to wait 2 weeks to have X, Y, or Z feature where overall, like our clients were happy, people were interested, right? Like it's about building credibility in that relationship with your consumer. So my biggest advice is like, don't deliberate, kind of take that leap of faith, be vulnerable, and you'd be surprised by the positive reactions people would give you.
That is great advice. And we are definitely advocates of building in public. So I think that's consistent with what we try to preach. What has the role of partnerships and or community been in your success so far?
Oh, massive. I mean, I think like it takes a village, right? Like, and for us, like community, even like, let's just talk about friends, like believing and supporting what we're doing. Like even friends wearing our hoodies or taking our stickers, like, even just cool, like little stuff like that has meant the world. But introductions, right? Like building, you'd be surprised how many people come. I mean, just kind of like based off how we got connected, like jumping on podcasts, posting on LinkedIn, posting on Twitter, right? Like it really is like brick by brick, and it's all about those little wins and little posts. And like that's a big focus for us this year, is kind of that notion of funnel, not even from like a customer acquisition, but like who's out there, who's interested, right? Like we've gotten a lot of people just being like, hey, I'm in a completely different space, but I love what you're building. Like I'm a sneakerhead. Like I can't help you, but I think it's really cool. And that really is awesome and cheering. So like we actually believe everything is about community. So just like what y'all are building is the future of where we see things going. It has to be community driven.
I love it. That is great to hear that is working out so well for you. I do want to be conscious of your time. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you, and who is a good contact?
Yeah, the best way to get in touch with me is probably emailing me at jordan@yofi.ai or LinkedIn, just Jordan Shamir, are some of the best ways to reach out to me. And we're just excited to connect with whoever. I guess, Michael, I have one question for you.
Sure.
I know it's the start of the year. What is one thing you're really excited for in 2023? What do you think is going to be big?
Overall, I mean, so it's interesting because about a year and a half ago, I wrote myself a thesis around something called artificial ventures. And the idea behind Founders Pack is to encouraging people to form their own pack of cooperative ventures that's inspired by the Keiretsu. And one piece of that is, I want to work with founders every day. So I think what I'm excited about is the thesis I wrote was I think I looked at it was March of 2021, where I said, here's 5 categories of artificial intelligence that I'm very interested in. And it felt very futuristic. And what's crazy is like those things seem to be coming true. Like one of them was valet, AI doing stuff for you. Another is decision support engine, so amplifying what people's jobs are. And then replacement for SaaS, right? Where SaaS is like pushing buttons, and I want it to feel like that versus, no, let's just do the thing. We tell you what to do and you do the thing. So it's kind of interesting to see suddenly like it just one or two things from OpenAI, and some of there's the Google AI tools are eventually going to come out. They're trying not to cannibalize their business. So I think that's what I'm really excited about, because I'm like, okay, now it's like possibilities have opened up, right? Like I think if we're talking about doing the same old thing with SaaS and the same old thing with apps, that's getting on year 12 and 14 of that cycle. So I'm really excited about what is going on with AI. I know a lot of people are kind of like confused or scared by it, but I think it's tremendous opportunity. My original book was Automate and Grow. So to me, that was always where things were going to go, is like, well, okay, yes, use software and systems, but now let's automate those software and systems so they do the thing. So I think to me, this is a big inflection point. I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. Like, we kind of even think about it from a car perspective, right? Like originally there was manual, then there's automatic, and there's autonomous. And you think about SaaS from a perspective of like, kind of what we do is we're a recommendation engine too around like how you interact with customers. And one of the insights we've gotten is like, dashboards are great, but I still need to interpret them, right? Like, how do we move to
worst thing ever?
Do this, right? Instead of like, take a look, figure it out. Like, give me the recommendation instead of giving me the insight. And it's a pretty nuanced, small difference, like from a word or vernacular perspective, but it means the world of difference.
It's everything. The worst thing, like, as a person that's spent a lot of time automating things with, marketing automation and CRM, is the dashboard, because people are always trying to create dashboards so they can make choices. And I just don't think it ever works. I think that there's very few dashboards that are meaningful to people and they can take action on. Whereas to your point, which is a really good one, I think the AI should just know, is this working or not, and do something about it. And that's really exciting, because I think it takes that data that everybody has, and whether it's a mess or not, makes sense of it. And the bigger the data, the better. So the bigger the mess, it's not really a mess to AI.
Yeah.
And then it operationalizes it. Perfect. That's what we need to get to, and that's what I'm excited about, because I feel like it was always in the future, and now it feels like there's stuff that's real, and that's exciting to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I fully agree.
Plus, we're gonna have a whole bunch of parties. Well, Jordan, I want to thank you for jumping on. I appreciate your partnership on a whole bunch of other things that are offline. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you? I think we already asked that.
Yeah.
As you know, when we have interesting people on the podcast, we like you to nominate other interesting people that are either investors or founders of scalable ventures. So who would you, Jordan, like to nominate as a feature guest of the podcast?
Good question. I have a couple.
We'll take a couple.
One of our good friends, Stephanie, she's the co-founder of Voti. They do a bunch of modal AI.
Okay.
She's brilliant, second-time founder, and she'll just blow everyone away.
Oh, great.
She's the absolute best. So heavily recommend. And I guess I nominate Stephanie to jump on the podcast.
Terrific. Stephanie from Voti, you have been nominated by Jordan as a featured guest. Thank you so much. We look forward to connecting with you soon and following your journey.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael.